Most cruisers think speed is a matter of bigger engines and fancier sails. They're wrong. The fastest boats out here are not buying upgrades, they are quietly rigging rope in ways so effective that some tricks were banned from racing altogether. That is why those weathered hulls from the 1970s cruise past the newest hardware, gaining 5 degrees of pointing and nearly a knot just by shifting a line. Now you will see the 10 forbidden hacks that let skilled sailors rewrite the rules. No wallet required. Which one transforms your factory standard rig into a wind-cheating machine? That is the hidden art the textbooks left out. Factory standard cruisers come with jib tracks set wide on the rail. That is the first speed trap. With the lead outboard, the jib sheet pulls sideways, opening the slot between the jib and the main far too wide. The airflow stumbles, lift drops, and your bow slides downwind. This is why a 1970s hull with a few bits of rope can outpoint a brand new cruiser. The fix is called the Barber Hauler, but forget the racing jargon. It is just a line that drags your jib sheet inboard, changing the angle of attack in 5 minutes flat. Grab a length of 6 or 8 mm line. Tie a bowline to a snatch block and clip it to the tow rail about halfway between the shrouds and the cockpit. Lead the jib sheet through the block, then bring the tail to a midships cleat or a stanchion base. Haul in until the sheet moves inboard by half a meter. Lock it off. That is it. No drilling, no special fittings. You have now shifted the lead to where the factory never wanted you to. On a J80, this hack alone gives you 5 degrees tighter to the wind and bumps your speed by half a knot or more. Instrumented trials show the difference. Without the hauler, the boat makes 5.2 knots at a 45-degree angle to the wind. Rig the line, and you are looking at 5.8 knots, pointing 5 degrees higher. That is an hour gained on a 50-mile beat just by moving a rope. There is a reason this was protested in the IOR days. Crews who ran haulers mid-race kept winning. Modern cruiser tracks are fixed wide for simplicity, not performance. The Barber Hauler lets you cheat the geometry, unlock hidden lift, and leave the push-button fleet behind. Always check your cleats and blocks for safe working loads and test the rig in 10 knots before cranking harder. This is not theory, it is physics, and it works whether you are racing or just trying to get home before dark. Bearing away onto a reach, most cruisers watch their speed bleed off as the jib twists open and starts to flutter. The power vanishes, the boat slows, and the helm feels sloppy. That is not a flaw in your sails, it is the geometry of your sheet lead. The factory setup pulls the sheet sideways, not down, so the lower part of the jib stays tight, but the top spills wind and loses drive. Here is where the out-hauler turns the tables. Clip a block to the rail just forward of the shrouds. Lead the jib sheet through this block instead of the standard track. Now when you tension the sheet, the angle pulls both out and down, flattening the foot and keeping the leech under control. The result? The sail holds its shape like an airplane wing, not a droopy bag. You get a clean, laminar flow from luff to leech, and the power stays on, right where you need it. The real magic happens in the slot, the narrow gap between jib and main. With the out-hauler, that slot narrows and the airflow accelerates. Aerodynamic studies show a 10 to 15% lift increase here, thanks to Bernoulli's principle. The faster air zips through the slot, clinging to the main and boosting forward drive. In live trials, this setup adds 0.4 of a knot to your speed on a beam reach, enough to pull ahead of any boat still running stock tracks. If you want proof, watch your telltales. Before the block, the leeward ones stall and dance. Rig the out-hauler and they stream straight back. The boat feels lighter, the helm steadies, and you will see a steady 0.4 of a knot more on the GPS, all from moving a single block. That is the kind of hack they tried to ban, not because it is dangerous, but because it works. The same rope, 2 tricks, point higher upwind, power up on the reach. That is how you outsmart the system. Every cruiser has felt that sudden lean when a gust hits, water rushing up the rail, the wheel fighting back, crew scrambling for footing. Most sailors just ease the main sheet and hope for the best. But there is a trick that turns that chaos into free speed: Vang sheeting. Instead of letting the boom ride up and the sail bag out, lock it down with the Vang, a block and tackle or simple rope system running from the base of the mast to the boom. Crank it hard before the breeze fills in. Now, when a puff hits, the boom stays level, the mainsail keeps its flat shape, and the boat resists heeling. On a typical 35-foot boat, instrumented trials show heel drops by 5 to 10 degrees in 18-knot gusts when the Vang is set properly. The difference is immediate. The boat stops rolling over, the rudder bites, and you feel the helm lighten in your hands. Instead of rounding up and fighting the wheel, you steer with fingertip pressure. The real payoff is speed. Velocity made good climbs by half a knot or more because the force that used to push you sideways now drives you forward. The method is simple. Trim the main sheet for shape, then tension the Vang until the boom will not lift when you ease the sheet. In a gust, ease the main sheet but keep the Vang tight. This spills wind from the top of the sail, letting the boat stand upright while maintaining drive. Racers call it twisting off the top. The top batten swings out by 15 to 20 degrees, dumping excess power without losing forward motion. For the cruiser, it means fewer roundups, less fatigue, and a boat that tracks straight even when the wind pipes up. Always check the boom and Vang tackle for safe working loads. Factory Vangs on older boats may need an extra block or a stouter line. Never stand in the bight or under a loaded boom. With the Vang set right, you control the boat, not the other way around. That is the difference between wrestling the helm and gliding upwind with confidence. Weather helm sneaks up on cruisers as the wind builds. The wheel grows heavy, the boat heels harder, and suddenly it feels like you are fighting the rig instead of steering it. Most skippers think it is time to reef or just muscle through, but there is a secret weapon hiding in plain sight: the Cunningham. This simple hole and hook near the base of your mainsail is not just a relic from racing days, it is the quickest way to rebalance your boat and keep your speed up when the breeze pipes up. Here is how it works. As the wind increases, the draft, the deepest part of your mainsail's curve, slides aft. That moves the center of effort behind the keel, making the boat want to round up. The helm gets heavier, and you lose both control and speed. But if you tighten the Cunningham, you pull the luff of the sail forward and down. The draft shifts forward by 10 to 20% of the sail's chord, lightening the helm and sharpening your pointing angle. Suddenly, the wheel feels neutral again, and you can hold your course without wrestling the rudder. There is a trick to dialing it in. Watch for horizontal wrinkles running back from the luff. Those are your guides. Add just enough Cunningham tension to smooth out the lower third of the sail. If the wrinkles vanish and the upper luff stays clean, you are in the sweet spot. Too much, and the sail flattens out and loses power. Too little, and the draft sags aft, dragging the boat sideways. Instrumented tests on 35-foot boats show that using the Cunningham can delay the need to reef by 5 to 10 knots of wind. That means you keep a full main longer, holding onto horsepower while others are shortening sail. The result is less weather helm, more control, and a safer, faster ride. This is not a fancy upgrade. It is a rope you already own and a trick racers have relied on for decades. Ignore it and you are leaving free speed on the table. Use it and you extend your power window safely, setting up the rig for whatever comes next. Downwind, the real threat isn't losing speed, it's losing control. Every sailor knows the story. A sudden gust, the boom swings across, and chaos erupts. In the last decade, accidental jibes have caused more injuries and deaths than any other maneuver on cruising boats. The numbers don't lie. Fitting a proper preventer cuts the risk of jibe-related injury by 95%. Yet most cruisers still run without one, gambling with a loaded boom and the lives beneath it. It only takes one mistake. In 2018, a well-equipped yacht off Baja, California, lost a crew member to a swinging boom. The accident report listed a single missing detail: no preventer rigged. The solution is simple, and it is not optional. Take a length of 10 or 12 mm polyester line, never high modulus Dyneema for this job. Tie it to the very end of the boom, not at the main sheet bail or near the mast. Lead it forward to a strong bow cleat or a sturdy midships fairlead, then back to the cockpit if you want quick release. Tension it so there is no slack, but do not overcrank. The boom should be locked in place, unable to whip across even if the helm gets away from you. A preventer isn't just a line, it's a lifeline. It transforms downwind sailing from a nerve-wracking gamble into a controlled run. With the boom secured, you can focus on sail trim, pole work, and course without the constant fear of a lethal jibe. Always keep a sharp knife or a snap shackle handy for emergency release. Rig it every time you go wing on wing, no exceptions. This is the one habit that separates survivors from statistics. Poling out the jib is the trick that turns a lazy downwind drift into a freight train run. Instead of letting the jib collapse behind the mainsail, you set a whisker pole from the mast to the clew of the jib, locking the sail out to windward. The geometry is simple. The pole holds the jib open parallel to the boom, creating a wing-on-wing setup that catches every ounce of breeze. What most cruisers don't realize is how much speed they're leaving on the table by skipping this step. On a 35-foot boat, dead downwind in 14 knots of wind, instrumented trials show a boat without a pole limps along at 6 knots, the jib flapping and half asleep. Rig the pole, and the same boat surges to 8 knots, sometimes more if the waves line up and you start surfing. That is a 2-knot jump in velocity made good, no spinnaker required. The secret is in the AIR flow. With the pole set, the jib stops shadowing behind the main and fills cleanly, acting like a second mainsail. The apparent wind shifts forward, the slot opens, and the boat accelerates. The trick works best with the pole set square to the wind, the outboard end level with the boom, and the topping lift keeping it from sagging. Always use a dedicated pole ring or strong mast fitting. Never jury rig to a stanchion or lifeline. Secure the inboard end low on the mast and set the outboard end to the jib clew with a quick release fitting or a sturdy snap shackle. Safety counts. Keep fingers clear when tensioning the pole and never leave the setup unattended in a squall. With the pole rigged right, you can hold a rock steady course, surf the swells, and watch the GPS climb. In cruiser races, old-timers with a pole routinely outpace newer boats by a mile or more on a long run. This isn't a luxury. It's the difference between drifting and flying. Steel shackles have been standard on cruising boats for decades, but every racer knows the bruises and blood they leave behind. The solution is a soft shackle, a simple loop of Dyneema line spliced or knotted that weighs a fraction of the old hardware and yet holds twice the load. A properly tied 8mm Dyneema shackle matches the braking strength of a 10mm stainless steel pin, but at 1/8 the weight. The difference is obvious the first time you swap out a steel snap shackle for a soft loop. No more clanking on deck, no more black and blue shins, and no rust to fight after a wet passage. Rigging a soft shackle is as basic as passing the loop through a ring or a block, then slipping the stopper knot through the eye. It locks under tension and it releases with a twist even under load. Racers use these everywhere, on sheets, on halyards, and on blocks because they are fast, safe, and easy to replace. There is a catch. Dyneema is strong, but it does not like sunlight or sharp edges. Always inspect your soft shackles for fuzz or for UV bleaching before you trust them, and replace any shackle that has gone stiff or lost its color. With a handful of soft shackles in your kit, you can re-rig half your boat in an afternoon, shaving pounds off your topside weight and making every sail change quicker and safer. Remember that soft shackles are brilliant for sheets and blocks, but keep steel for standing rigging and for high wear points where chafe is a real threat. Forget the $500 twing system catalogs love to push. There is a dirt cheap alternative that does the job just as well: the snatch block twing. Grab a sturdy snatch block, ideally rated for at least 1,500 kilos if you are on a 35-foot boat, and clip it to a pad eye or the tow rail just aft of the shrouds. Lead your spinnaker or jib sheet through the block, then down to a deck cleat or a winch. The magic is that you can tweak the height of your sheet on the fly, flattening the foot or freeing up the leech, all without drilling a single hole or buying custom gear. Racers have used this trick for decades, but most cruisers ignore it, thinking it is fiddly. In reality, you can rig or move a snatch block in seconds, even under load. Field tests show that with the twing set low and outboard, the sail stays stable in gusts and the pole does not sky. The boat tracks straighter, the sheet loads drop, and you get professional control for the price of a pizza. Just double-check your hardware ratings and avoid lashing to anything flimsy. That is the poor man's twing: simple, fast, and surprisingly effective. Check stays are the final tool in the arsenal for serious rig tuning, and they demand respect. Unlike fixed shrouds or simple backstays, a check stay runs from the lower mast to the deck, letting you fine-tune how much the mast bends under load. Tighten it, and you straighten the lower mast, adding power in light air or flattening the main when the breeze is up. Ease it, and the mast bends forward, spilling power and opening the leech. This is how you keep the mainsail draft exactly where you want it. No more, no less. Caution: there is a line you do not cross. Too much check stay tension compresses the mast, risking a buckle or even catastrophic failure, especially on thin-walled aluminum spars. The safe margin is narrow. Apply just enough tension to control the bend, but never so much that the mainsail inverts or the gooseneck starts to drop more than a fist width. If you are unsure, consult your boat's tuning guide or a professional rigger before you start cranking. Most production cruisers do not even come with check stays, but if yours does, or if you are tempted to retrofit, remember every pound of tension has to go somewhere. Overload the system, and you are gambling with your rig. A well-tuned check stay is the difference between a mainsail that holds its shape in the chop and one that turns into a flag. With all the hacks dialed in, the boat is finally ready for the real test. Harness every ounce of speed the wind will give you without pushing the hardware past its limits. Right now, most production cruisers leave half their speed and much of their safety untapped. As manufacturers prioritize convenience over control, the real advantage belongs to those who question the defaults. With a few feet of rope and an understanding of physics, you rewrite the limits of your boat. In a world of shortcuts, mastery is the only true hack. What's stopping you from taking the helm?